California politicians are not only implementing a massive water rate hike statewide, but they're creating a new division of water police. That's right. You're about to face fines and penalties and tickets and shame if you're using too much water in the estimation of government. Coming up, I'll tell you what's going on and how we're leading the fight to stop the water cops in California. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and I've been warning you, the cost of living will continue to go up in California until we have a rebellion of voters sick and tired of paying more and getting less, and changing out our politicians is the first step to recovery. The latest increase in your cost is going to be hitting you on your water bill. Now, mind you, Californians already pay the highest water rates in the country, significantly higher than the other states, because we have created a dysfunctional water policy. This is not something that's climate change driven. We have a whole separate podcast, by the way, that we've done on the topic of water scarcity and how California has always had a feast-famine cycle when it comes to water, but that recently there were changes in water policy to choke the supply of water in the last 20 years, choke the supply of water because of policies implemented by politicians. So this is a choice to have scarcity of water. And as a result, we now pay higher rates. But the politicians aren't just gouging us and not just soaking us with higher rates. They're now planning to create water cops to go out and ticket people if they're using too much water. Here's the story in the California Cal Matters. Quote, making conservation, water conservation a way of life. Controversial state rules could cost $13 billion. Now that's the focus, is the cost. This is the rate hike. It's all talking about the California State Resources Board, Water Resources Board, State Water Resources Control Board, meeting just a few weeks ago and promulgating new regulations that require a $13.5 billion increase statewide in your water rates. That equates to be about $1,000 per household in the state of California. I know it's a lot of money, but looking at this, they talk about the goal of this water rate increase is to deal with water scarcity. They are going to do a $13.5 billion rate hike, and 40% of that will fund rebate programs in order to cut water usage. Okay, so you're raising my rates to give free money away to other people who are water hogs, who don't want to change out their toilet or change out their dishwasher or change out whatever they're using. I'm paying higher rates so that you can give rebates out to someone else. Oh, wait a minute. I get to be eligible for those rebates? Oh, gee, thank you. Thank you for raising my rates and then giving me a portion of the money back. And by the way, it's only 40% of the money going back in rebates for water conservation. Where's the other 60% going? Haha, that's right. It's all about the money, honey, the bureaucracy, the pension hikes, the salary spikes of the bureaucrats, the government water agencies in every jurisdiction of California. They all want more money. Remember, you are not buying water from a private supplier. You're buying water from your local municipal water district. And they've got all these government bureaucrats who are earning way more than their counterparts in the private sector. Latest analysis there, Bureau of Labor Statistics salary and wages show that government employees at the municipal level are earning about 35 to 40% more than their counterparts in other in the private sector in the same types of positions. And I would encourage you, if you want to see the numbers for yourself, if you really want to get ticked off, go to a handy website. It's called transparentcalifornia.org, transparentcalifornia.org. Type in the word water in the agency name, and look at all the salaries of anyone who works for a water department, or type in the word utility, public utilities, you're going to find an obscene amount of wasteful spending in salaries. And that's what these water rates really are going to. Now, the water costs themselves in California are higher than other states because, well, we are restricting the flow of water. We are not allowing water to go to where the uses are most pressing. In California, human beings consume only 5% of water in terms of your household use, golf courses, restaurants, retail, industrial, manufacturing, hospitals, schools. 5% of our water each year goes to the use of humans. That is a drop in the bucket, no pun intended. So why are we cracking down on 5% of the water usage? Well, where's the other 95% going? Well, 35% of the water does go to agriculture. But isn't that human use? Well, it's human use, but it's also a business. We export a lot of our agriculture all around the world. And so agriculture being 35% of use of water is not surprising. What I will tell you is that agriculture is more water efficient in just a moment. Now, where's 60% of our water going? It's going for, quote, environmental use. Well, what does that mean? That sounds good, environmental. What it means is that we used to have that water for human consumption. We used to have that water for agriculture, but we've clamped down on any shipments of water to those two areas because we want more water to go to environmental use, which is a euphemism for we want to wash it out to the ocean. In other words, we want to waste it. That's right. 55 to 60% of our water intentionally by government policy, and this is a government policy that was changed just in the late 1990s, early 2000s, intentionally wasted, pumped out, or let allow to flow out to the sea. 60% of our water. And you can see that farms and individuals are far more water efficient. Again, we have a longer podcast at our website, reformcalifornia.org, where you can see more water policy stats. But per capita consumption of water in 1990 was about 250 gallons per day. In 2010, we had reduced it down to about 180 gallons. Today, it's about 75 to 80 gallons, depending upon where you live. And in San Diego, where I live, it's 55 gallons per person per day. We are doing our part in dramatically reducing water consumption. And it's interesting because even in this article, one of the water district managers, Joe Berg of the Municipal Water District of Orange County, basically reveals this. He said, quote, even if we had all the money, speaking about the rate hikes and the $13.5 billion of rebate money, well, it's actually not $13.5 billion. It's going to be 40% of $13.5 billion. The bureaucracy gets the rest. They get 60%. He said, even if we had all this extra money for rebates for water-efficient toilets and water-efficient appliances, even if we had all the money, we would not be able to convince our customer base to participate at the rates we need them to. We can build it, but they don't necessarily come. Again, I think that he's correct about how you can offer a bunch of rebates, but it's probably not going to move the needle much. But what he's also not truly acknowledging is that we've already done a good job. We should be given the gold star already for reducing our per capita water consumption. The media lies to you. They want you to think that you're the fault or that your neighbor's the fault for being a water hog, that you are being selfish, when in fact, we are more water efficient than ever in California. But our media doesn't want you to know that because they're part of this scam of wanting the politicians to have the money, wanting to have more control, and they also buy into the notion that, hey, the environment deserves the water more than human consumption. By the way, on agriculture, we also have seen a reduction in water usage, and water efficiency has gone up in agriculture Since 1980, water use has gone down by about a third in the agriculture sector in California. And even though there's been a war on farmers, we've increased our production by about 25%. So more agricultural output for less water consumption. Again, farmers, you should get a gold star. But into this, we have government policy saying that not only should they not get gold stars, that they need to do more, that they should have their rates raised, with government keeping 60% of the rate increase and 40% going to water conservation. And we're now going to create water police. Take a look down here. Just the facts about California's new water rationing law. And it talks about fines being levied on people, on the agencies, but not on people individually. Here it is. The agencies will have monthly reporting requirements and fined $1,000 per day when they go over a per person water allocation. And I'll get to that in just a minute. What is your ration? In a dry year, and by the way, the politicians always declare it a dry year, the fine is $10,000 every day they go over the per person water limit. So what is the per person water limit? Standard for indoor use has been set at 55 gallons per person per day. And that will decrease to 50 gallons per day per person by 2030. This is incredible. 50 gallons per day. Now you might say, well, Carl, 50 gallons is a lot of water. Well, when you consider all the things you use water for, flushing the toilet, doing your laundry, doing the dishes, taking a shower, unless you're doing the sponge baths, I think 50 gallons is really a stretch. Can it be achieved? Yes, but the question becomes, at what cost? Why are we saddling working families with the highest rates? Why are we going to penalize them? Oh, and by the way, water police. Where do those folks come in? The reason why we are going to see water police and why agencies have been encouraged by the State Water Control Resources Board to look at enforcement. They don't say water police, by the way. That's my term. But they say enforcement to achieve the goals, that they need to expand enforcement. Well, what is enforcement? What it means is A, water monitoring on a per person basis or per household basis. B, somehow penalizing people if they go over their water limit, and which means that you're going to have penalties based on bills in terms of overall usage. You're also going to have penalties based upon inappropriate water usage that's detected. In a previous podcast, we told you about the ban on decorative lawns for everyone except for single-family homes, and I'm predicting that single-family homes are going to lose their lawns as well. They call it non-functional grass. It's called a lawn. That's how normal people talk. You're banning lawns. You call it a ban on non-functional grass. I love how these bureaucrats and their lying, corrupt friends in the liberal media that carry their water, no pun intended, they come up with euphemisms. We're banning non-functional grass. And so that sounds like, oh, if it doesn't function, then let's get rid of it. No, they're banning lawns. That's what they describe as a lawn. Now, let me tie this all back to the environment, because these people say they're doing this for the good of the environment. But actually, this is going to create an environmental problem for California. You see, they say that they need to flush this water out to the ocean for fish, in the streams and habitat. They do not show us any studies to suggest that we've somehow recovered habitat since these big changes in the 1990s on water policy, where we're wasting water for environment. They've shown no studies that we've made any positive impact, despite all of the costs and all of the disruption in our daily lives for water rationing. But on top of that, they're not telling you the truth about the other environmental impact, which is air quality impacts. You see, when you cut off water to farms, which is what they've been doing, and they're going to do more of it, what do the farmers do? They have to water less. They let some land go fallow. They don't wet their crops or their fields to keep the dirt down. If you let your land go fallow, or if you have less water, you're going to have air quality problems, because that dirt then gets blown all around. How about if everyone in California does what they want to do with the lawns, banning lawns, goes to DG surfaces or sand or gravel? What do you think is going to happen there if you get rid of lawns? Yeah, a lot of things are going to be blown about. Particulate matter. And what does all that add up to? Asthma, respiratory illness, air quality problems. In fact, these policies, water rationing, will lead to a massive degradation in air quality while the politicians say they're saving the environment. In fact, they're going to be deteriorating our environment at a very significant rate. You don't hear about that in the media. There's no debate about that happening right now, but it's real. You can talk to any farmer, any air quality manager, and they will say that this is a major concern that they're having. Look, we have more than enough water if we actually have rational water policy. I'll leave you with this. We're now removing dams. Take a look at this article here. The world's largest dam demolition has begun. Can the damned Klamath River finally find salvation? We're getting rid of dams? Well, we haven't even increased our reservoirs with this last bout of rains in this past year, which was a blessing, which was not unexpected. We always have drought and then very wet years. We should be saving up water in wet years to soften the blow during drought years. That's not climate change. That's just called weather. We've had it for centuries in California. Instead of putting in infrastructure and increasing reservoir capacity, we're getting rid of dams and reservoir capacity. How about this one? 11 billion gallons of water released from Hodges Reservoir. The city of San Diego said it's under a state order to keep the water level low in the lake. Why? Again, these are choices these people are making to let water flow out to the ocean rather than save it for drought years. But they want you to feel guilty, and now they are raising your rates, pocketing a bunch of money, kicking you back a couple crumbs, saying, do your part for water conservation, and then creating a whole set of water police to go out and issue individual fines. We know the water police are going to be established because Proposition 218 prohibits the imposition of fines on people who have not done anything wrong. So the fines are going to have to be levied on the water hogs. Again, I put those in quotes because I don't think you're hogging water. I think you're doing your part and you're paying for the water, so no harm, no foul. But in order to comply with Prop 218, these water agencies will have to assess the penalties to the people that they say caused them to get the state fines imposed on them. So we know that these enforcement goons are going to be out there trying to control your life, trying to penalize you and raise your rates, when in fact this was all a problem created by bad water policy in California. This is complicated stuff. I'll get you. Totally acknowledge that. Sadly, the media doesn't want to share this information as to why your rates are going up and the threat of having people get fined for using too much water. I think that this is information people need to know about, and hopefully they'll vote better elected officials into office. Help us get the information out and break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like and subscribe to this video right now. Share it with friends. And go to the website reformcalifornia.org and sign up. We have to get our voter guide out to the voters come election time to tell them why their water rates are so high and other elements of cost of living are so high in California and what people can do to vote in better elected officials. Until next time, Carl DeMaio with Reform California. Thanks for watching. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.